Okay, hello guys. This is Nick. I'm gonna do some Game Maker tutorials. Now the thing is, there's a lot of Game Maker tutorials out there, and they show you what to do, but they're not good. They are either low quality or there's no commentating. They're not full 100% tutorial, and they're not. The main thing is they're not teaching you. They're just saying like how to make a platformer, for example, or how to make a fighting game. They'll show you how to make a fighting game, but they won't go in depth on what it is. We'll be doing some of that, but first we're gonna be doing a lot of covering the basics and so you can understand. Because when I first had Game Maker, I had no idea what I was talking about. So we're just gonna start going in depth. I'm sure you guys know what new is, open, save. If you have Pro and an account, you can make the game an executable. So you can put it out for download on MediaFire, or you can upload it to the Yo-Yo Games website. These green and red arrows. Green is to run it, and red is to run it in debug mode, which will tell you like errors and stuff, and I don't use it too often. Sprites. Alright. Sprites are probably going to be your main artwork for this game. We'll go over this interface. Name, the sprite. Now, also, this tutorial will be using all GML. No drag and drop. Drag and drop is not good. It can be confusing. It's not organized, and it's not powerful. Once you learn GML, you'll find it quite powerful and simple. So basically, when you're using GML, your name's going to be SPR sprite underscore whatever you want to call it. Blah. Load sprite. You can load sprite from the existing amounts of sprites you have. I just got a new computer. I don't have too many. You can save the sprite you have just in case you can use it for the future, or you can edit the sprite, and that's if you already made one. Alright, so let's edit a sprite and make one. So this will just exit out and say, alright, I'm done with the sprite. The check mark. New will make a new image, and you can edit the coordinates wherever you want. A block, 32 by 32. Create a sprite from a file. You can open a sprite, or create a sprite from a file. You can open a file, create a sprite. Add will just take the file and just add a sprite to the existing sprite. Save, you know what that does. Insert an empty image. It just duplicates. It can insert an empty image that's like 32 by 32, the same thing. Add an empty image at the end. Undo, redo, cut, and paste. So transform, you can do things like skew, scale, rotate, and these will be very useful if you're trying to make like a red. If you make a blue guy, but you want him to look very similar with red color, you can use like colorize. Animation, these will help you with your animations. Grow, flatten, raise, shrink, disappear, colorize, rotations, which will be useful if you're not using Pro, but you want to make like a top-down. We can make a basic sprite here to show you what it does. There's different tools that you can use. Same bar pretty much at the top. There's a zoom in, there's an equal of what you're actually looking at. I like to zoom in a lot. There's gridding. And there's like you can see a preview down here, and that's actually a really nice tool because then you'll know how it looks in the actual game. So just create a little guy. We're not making a game. I'm just showing you the interface for this tutorial. Create a little guy. Done. Done. Sprite blah. Okay. And if you select him and hit delete, you notice it's not going to do anything. You gotta hold Shift delete. So as you can see, delete. Okay, good coverage of sprites. Sounds. It's pretty point blank. These are the sounds. For the GML, SND underscore sound name, shoot. You can load sounds that you've got already. I'm sure there's a gunshot. Yep, gunshot. Play them. Stop it or save it, and it tells you the file name we're using. But in our program, we'll use SND underscore shoot, if we were. Normal sounds can be played. Background music, I think, is quieter. I don't use it too much. If you are using music in the game, though, you're going to want to use multimedia player. But if you're playing like a 3D game or you just want to have a cool effect on your sounds in your game, 3D sound will make it so the closer you are to it, the louder it is. And that's a really cool one. And these all effects you can add to it: chorus, echo, reverb, flanger, gargle. You can change the volume. I'm not too good on these sound things. And you can change the pan, which will you can do it, and you can edit the sound too. but you're gonna need an external editor, so Audacity or something like that. So sounds. Yeah, just delete it. Background. Once again, point blank. It's just the background of your game. You can set them as tile sets. We can go much more in depth though with them later. Background bkgd underscore hello. Just like sprites, load, save, and edit. Use as a tile set. This will make it so if I load a tile set, let's see if we can find one. Yep, here we go, tile set. Pipes. Use this tile set. So that means we now have a tile set. Now, these tiles are actually 32 by 32 tiles. So we want to change the tile width to, instead of 16 by 16, 32 by 32. So now we can each select every individual pipe. And I'll show you later what it will do in the room. And just so that you know, the objects in the game, which we'll get into later, cannot interact with your background. Paths, these would be like if you want an AI in the game or enemy, you don't want them to stand still. You want them to go here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then here, yada yada. This is the path, you can create the path and they'll follow it. Also, I'll make a new background for this. This is something that's going to be very useful. I'll just load a background. Yeah, short one, wood. If you go to your path, you can see where is it? Oh, well, you gotta create the room first. Sorry, but if you create a room and then choose the room you like, if you wanna know what you're doing on your path, you can choose a room and it'll show the background, so you know what you're doing. So you can just click add, and now if I were to say follow this path, it would go from here to here. And we can also make it, you know, all crazy. And it'll just go do. Or you can make it curve, and it'll do a cool little curve. Of course, you can edit it to your liking. This is really cool. Delete. And that's here where this is the name of your path. I usually don't do paths, but I'm just sure you can do PTH. I can imagine underscore your name. These have the cool tools like offsets and views, rotate, and when you're done, you just do that. So it's just gonna delete these and delete these. So scripts. I don't use these as often either, but you can pre-make a script. So, like, if you just want to execute the script that I already wrote, if like you're using it for multiple objects, and it's like a very like continuous script. It's not just like a couple lines. It's like an entire thing that you want to be duplicated. You can say, "Hey, run this script I made." I don't use it too often, but it can be quite useful in certain games. Yeah. Alright, create a font. I don't use that either. So I don't use fonts too much. I just paused it, sorry. I don't use fonts too much. But, you know, if you want to make a font, you can choose a font that you already have installed, the size, yada yada, and you can use this like in drawing events. In object, which we'll talk about later. I think I'll create a separate video for going in depth on objects. Timelines. Frick. Timelines, you can basically say timeline, add, indicate at the moment. So, basically indicate at the moment steps. 30 steps a second. So if I want to say after 1 second, I'd type in indicate at the moment 30, step 30. You could do this. I like to use code, so you could say if there's an object called blah, object blah. Okay, sorry. Got in the middle of that. Accidentally stopped recording. So you understand though that timelines basically they can run a series of events overall. Alright. I did a lot of talking to myself on this, but objects. You can name the object, which would be obj underscore, and then you can select the sprite 1, sprite 2. Or you can make a sprite off the back. Or you can edit the sprite right now if you don't like it. You can make it visible or not visible, which means you don't see it or not see it. Solid means it'll act as a solid in like lines of code. It's not complicated, believe me. It's not like everything is put in every line, but I mean certain commands it'll do that. Depth. If object 1 is at depth 0 and object 2 is at depth 1 and they overlapped each other, the object at depth 1 would be below, the depth of 0. If I said depth -1 over and 0 and they overlapped, depth -1 would be above. Persistent means it's whether the object is persistent between rooms. So whether in this room the object's the same or not. And yes, this is something you have to do if you're making like an RPG character or a platformer. Parent means that if object 1's parent to object 2, if object 2 does it, object 1 does it. Mask, same as sprite. Don't use this too often, but what it will do is if I had sprite 2 selected, it'll be masked by sprite 1. If I select my sprite 1. Alright. Events. Events are basically all these. This is what they do. Create. Does not create something, it just happens whenever this object's created. It's gonna run a certain thing, or a code, whatever, a command, a function, an action. Yeah, there we go. And we can, on the create, we can say, hey, there's this variable I got, and I want it to equal 100. And now, throughout the object, that variable has been created, and it equals a certain value, right when this object gets created. Go away. Yeah. So, mouse. This is, I actually don't use these too often since I'm more of a code person, but basically, mouse, left press, if you ever press it, it's going to do this. Left release, you ever release it, it's going to stop, it's going to do this. So that could be like for an automatic weapon, but like I said, use it in code. It's easier. Left button whenever you click the left button. Right button, click the right button. You know, no button. I don't know. Mouse enter. That means if I had a big object sitting in the middle of this room, and whenever my mouse went over, I wanted it to glow red. I could do a mouse enter and then say glow red. A command for glow red. I mean that's basically global mouse. What global mouse does is the same thing as mouse. Global left button, left press. But the mouse up here, that means when I click on the object. Global mouse means whenever I clicked anywhere. Click anywhere. And joystick, this is for joystick commands. I don't use these. Don't know. Destroy just means destroy Destroy means whenever this object's destroyed, do this action, which could be hi. Yeah. Okay, so that's the destroy event. This is different things. Like if you're outside of the room, do this. Intersect a boundary, do this. This is views, different things. On the game start, do this. On the game end of the game, do this. On the start of the room, do this. Room end, do this. And when there's no more lives, do this. But we don't really need too much of this. It's because we use code. Alarm. An alarm is also for drag and drop. If I tell them to start alarm 4, it's going to do alarm 4, but I got to tell them what to do on alarm 4. That's basically what that is. The draw event is just you import it and you would go to draw. Draw font is where that font comes in that you made in a line. Yeah. And like I said, I don't use these too much. Step event. This is the main thing we use programming. Basically every step, which is 1/30 of a second, you're going to tell it to check this. So x plus equals 4. So every 1/30 of a second, do this, and it's gonna go really fast. Believe me. Alright. Key press, key release, basically the same thing as the mouse key press and key release, but it's just easier. Collision is basically whenever you collide with an object, do this. I will use these a lot. Keyboard is basically the same thing as the mouse, but without press and release. So whenever I hit control once, do this. Triggers, don't use them, but I might learn to for tutorials. We got some more things. This is GameMaker Pro 8. We're gonna create a new room. Rooms. You can use crisscross, gridding, no gridding at all, whatever. I usually use gridding. Like if you were using mostly 32 by 32 objects in your game, your snap would be 32 by 32. And you can also magnify, or tell them, so I get things mixed up. It tells you what you want to show. Objects. You can basically say what objects you want to place in. Yeah, I'll place objects, but when your object has a sprite, it won't be a little mystery mark. It'll be the actual sprite you wanted. We'll go to backgrounds. Nope, titles. Well, yeah, background. You can just say, "Hey, I want this background." But if you want there to be a moving background, you give it a speed. You mean visible room. Sorry, yada. So views. These will be like if you wanted to be like a Mario game where you've got one side-scrolling level that goes all the way this way, that way, that way, that way, but you just wanted to have this view, you can use a view and that will scroll along like blocked on the player. Tiles, this is going to come to the, we deleted it, oh well, it was like the tiles, and we can just put it down. As you can see, current layer tile, layer, one like million, because that's because it wants it to be below everything possible. Settings would be settings room like the width, the height, the speed of the room. Caption for the room, so like in the window, the name could be like room 0, but you can see a caption and it could say like, hey, hi. If the room is persistent, that means if I were to say blow up a crate in this room, then leave this room to go to another room, and then come back to this room, the crate would still be blown up. It wouldn't restart the room. And also, a room is just basically a playing space. Advanced play space. That covers it for about the basics. We'll go over some more stuff like extensions, just add on to the game. Later. See ya.